Welcome back again to Nighthawk All Access. Time for Nighthawk Spotlight. And this week, an outstanding athlete in the world of cross country who has an academic flair that is a bit international. And we welcome Bree Hammond. Bree, welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. And for those who have followed North Georgia athletics, they have seen your name and results out on the cross country courses for the last couple of years. Great start for the team this year. Indeed, in the Invitational recently led a team-winning effort. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's a good day for everybody.
Absolutely it was. Talk about, first of all, what got you into the world of running. That's an athletic endeavor that a lot of people aren't necessarily drawn to at first. What was it for you?
Well, it's a bit of a funny story. In middle school, my mom used to run in college. And so she was our coach in middle school, and she really wanted me to be a runner, and I really did not want to be a runner. But I tried it again in high school, ran for a little bit, and decided my sophomore year of college to try to walk onto the team here at North Georgia. And Coach Williams was very generous and allowed me to try out. And I'm not going to lie, it was a rough semester. I was not physically or mentally prepared for it, but I stuck with it, and he's a fantastic coach. That's all I can say. When
you look at the results for the program as a whole, given the relatively short lifespan for the program, it's phenomenal when you talk about the results this season. Certainly no example. There's been a team win and I think a second place finish, maybe a third thrown in there in one of the events. And of course, it's not too long before we begin talking about the Peach Belt Conference meet coming up, and that'll be, of course, hosted at UNC Pembroke. Talk a little bit about how you work through a season in preparation for the postseason part of the competition.
Well, Coach Williams gives us all a training plan for the summer. It's to build a lot of mileage, just to prepare us physically and raise our fitness level for the season. And once the season starts, we start adding in some speed work, and we have some racing strategies towards the beginning of the season. For instance, our Gainesville meet, he had us tempo the first mile, some of the girls, in order to teach us how to surge those last 2 miles. And as the season will go, we'll start to get more and more confident in our races, hopefully, so that we can peak at our top fitness level and personal bests around conference and regionals.
Indeed, that is always a challenge, finding that happy medium between, exerting yourself as much as you need to get the result in that particular meet, and then knowing where you want to stay in preparation for the meets that are just down the road. I was noticing one of the things in your bio on the website that your favorite athlete is a fella who was instrumental in creating the running boom in the United States back in the 70s, and I think we actually have a little common thread there. Frank Shorter, of course, who was a silver medalist, I think, in the marathon in Montreal, was a big name in running. How did he become your favorite?
Well, my dad loved him as an athlete, and I grew up listening to stories of Frank Shorter. My dad went to college in Colorado, and he actually led a running group out there, and so my dad, he was one of his favorite athletes. And so I listened to those stories. I actually got to meet Mr. Shorter at a race in high school. He did kind of a fast-paced race benefit, which was really, really fun. But I've just learned about him and I've read about him. I'm reading through his biography right now.
Phenomenal.
It's very inspiring.
Phenomenal story. And very quickly, both Bree and I actually have that in common, that we've both met Frank. I met him my first Peachtree Road race, 1977. What was intriguing to me was the day before the Peachtree, he won a 20-kilometer race in Chicago, flew to Atlanta, then won the Peachtree the next morning. Somehow I found him after the race, got his autograph on the race bib, and so that sort of cemented my love of running. So that's interesting that we have that in common. Talk a little bit about the challenge of the physical exertion that's required for cross country, and then being able to stay focused for the academic load.
Well, actually, interestingly enough, joining the team actually helped improve my competency as a student. I enjoy my classes, but I think the team and the setting and the discipline that it requires really helped me to learn how to be a better student, time management, and it is hard. We wake up 5 in the morning, hit the track at 5:45, you're exhausted, and you have your class at 9 a.m. or 8 a.m., and it is difficult to motivate yourself to get there. But I think it's all about just learning and habits. Sure. And Coach has been wonderful. He gives us any leniency we need in order to be a good student, because that's what's most important.
Let's talk about academics. What is your major and your academic focus here at North Georgia?
Well, I have 2 majors. One is a business management major, and one is a Chinese language and literature major, and a computer science minor.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay. Well, now I certainly feel insignificant academically after listening to that. I'm intrigued with all of your efforts, but I think in particular the part that incorporated Chinese. Tell me about that, and how did that happen?
How did it happen? Well, I was tired of taking Spanish classes from high school, and they told me when I went to college I had to take 2 foreign language courses, and I thought, Chinese, strategic language,
sure, sounds
interesting. I only have to do 2 classes, and it just went on from there. And then I thought maybe a minor, and they told me that I basically need to get a major, so yeah.
Interesting. Yes. Now, do you have any semblance of a target of what you would want to pursue with that major in your back pocket?
Certainly. I've got a few different ideas. International business was kind of my first idea when I chose it. It combined well with a business major. And this summer I did an internship with a aerospace company, and they taught me that actually the combination of those 2 with a computer science minor is actually very good, especially in the defense industry. I would kind of love to maybe pursue something in the Department of Defense,
sure,
but that's a long way down the road.
Well, and given the complexities of the global economy and everything else, there will only be more and more opportunities in that regard, and certainly knowing Chinese will open many doors for you, and that has to be exciting.
Oh, yes.
Knowing that you've got a leg up over a vast majority of other candidates when you talk about that kind of combination of academic credentials. Talk about that.
Well, knowing any language will help you. It not only gives you that kind of entryway into another culture, but it shows that you can think in a certain way, that you have a dedication to get outside your comfort zone, to learn to think in an entirely different way than we think in English, because it is very different. You start to see the world in a different viewpoint. It really is quite wonderful.
Let's talk about that. You mentioned having taken Spanish for a number of years prior. I'm assuming that it would be entirely different in learning Chinese, and which dialect is the focus on?
We do integrated Chinese, it's basically Mandarin. Okay. It's actually an integrated amount of a lot of the dialects, but it's mostly Mandarin.
Okay.
It's not Cantonese, that's the other big one.
Right. And out of curiosity, the first semester that you were into this pursuit, what were your thoughts and your mindset jumping in to such a different language?
Well, I'd been to China when I was 14. My family took a trip over there, and I loved it. The culture is fascinating, but the language is hard to learn. I would say the hardest thing for me the first semester is training your brain to see a picture and think of it as a word, because as English speakers we don't grow up doing that. We learn alphabets and we learn phonetics, and there is a phonetic system, but there is no alphabet. There's no just easy 26-letter thing that you can look at. So it took a while. You can train your brain to see those pictures instead, but it's certainly an adjustment.
Now, when we talk about the scale of the pictures that make up that language, what type scale are we talking about?
30,000 maybe? You only have to know a couple thousand to be decently fluent.
Just a couple of thousand. That is so mind-boggling, it's hard to comprehend. I'm assuming that this is a pursuit that will take continued effort for years. Talk about how long it took you to realize that it was something you were willing to embrace and devote that kind of commitment.
I kind of had a feeling once I started learning it. It is different, it's cool, but it's also so important. If you look at any news, China is a big topic no matter how you look at it. And I figured that it would pay off eventually, no matter what.
That is so interesting. I know that everyone is really interested in being able to watch your career as it develops, and I know it's going to be exciting. so proud of what you've accomplished both athletically and academically here at North Georgia. And as we wrap up this Nighthawk Spotlight, any final thoughts about how you have enjoyed your time here at UNG?
It's been an experience. Originally, I actually planned on transferring after a couple of years, and I am so glad that I didn't. I have friends that go to UGA, my sister actually, other schools, and they wish they came here. It's a family, it's a smaller community, but the quality of the professors, the quality of learning, and especially the athletic experience, I don't think I could have gotten anywhere else, truly.
That's as great an endorsement as you're ever going to have. So Bree Hammond, thank you so much for visiting with us and being our Nighthawk Spotlight here on Nighthawk All Access. We'll be back in just a moment.